Hi, everybody. I am Maria from Trizepatide Tales. I am so excited to have you here on live. And if you're joining from Substack or YouTube, this is my first YouTube live and my first Substack live. So I'm really excited. I'm also on TikTok. I love my TikTok people. I have been a TikToker forever. I love TikTok. It's my favorite. But tonight I wrote this whole thing. It's the state of the GLP-1 community. It's probably reversed on your side now that I'm seeing that. That was a silly thing on my part, but we're going to ignore that design flaw that I did. Um, Put your comments in the chats. Let me know where you're from. Share this out. I'm going to save the recording as well and post this later. But I am a writer by trade. I do marketing. I'm an advocate in the GLP-1 space. I'm also a GLP-1 patient myself. So I wrote a big state of the GLP-1 community because there's a lot of political things going on right now, and there's a State of the Union going on right now of stuff that I don't have as much passion for. So I'm excited to use my passion for something that I wrote in this content. It's long form. Apologies, I'm a writer. Of what I see as the state of GLP-1s, what has happened to us in the last year, the happenings, how it all relates together, how it swirls around, what it means for us, and where I'm looking out into the future of where the industry is going. So with that, let me know in the comments what questions you might have or anything like that. Please follow me on the platforms. I've recently had a little bit of difficulties with the TikTok streams and changes and whatever. Everything I do is on Substack. I am a writer by trade and I write and share constantly. I am also trying to become a better YouTuber. I'm trying to fall in love with YouTube. So give me a follow there on that journey as well. Okay, we're doing it. We're doing it, guys and dolls. I apologize if I missed your comment. Say it again. Bring it up again. I am moving the chat over so that I can, read the thing that I wrote. It's pretty good. I'm excited. Thank you all so much for coming. This is a really community event. If you want to join the live, let me know at the end. We can join and we can talk. But good evening, GLP-1 community. Patients, clinicians, pharmacists, telehealth teams, researchers, and the quiet lurkers who never comment but have a whole notes app full of questions, and the people who've been dismissed for years are now watching their biology respond, sometimes dramatically, to a class of medications that rewired what possible looks like. Tonight is not a medical lecture and not legal advice. We have to say those things. It's a year in review plus a map forward. Because if 2025 taught us anything, it's that space moves in waves. And if 2026 is teaching us anything, it's that waves are not random. There's not a lot of random stuff. So a year ago in this space, in the GLP-1 community, the dominant emotion in the industry was panic. There was just so much panic. It was crazy. Not the wow, this is so life-changing and great panic. It was like, what are we gonna do? Panic. It was lawsuit panic, right? Telehealth platforms were getting sued, pharmacies were getting dragged into filings, and the phrase compounding started to show up in mainstream headlines in the wildfire ways, like in August. It's just like the wildfire, it's uncontrolled, spreading, and politically useful. And that will come into play a lot later. In the middle of that, the GLP-1 community was trying to do something very basic: access care, safety, consistency, without being treated like a morality play. 1 year later, the panic has shifted. There's still panic. I still feel panic. Don't worry. The lawsuits are still there. Lawsuits are slow, right? But now they've started to consolidate. They're all in different groups, types, packs. They're narrow. They're taking shape procedurally. Meanwhile, a new kind of fear is rising really fast. It's a wave of state policy changes that feel really sudden. They feel like they're copy and pasted. They feel like, depending on who you ask, either a patient safety reform or a market protection dressed as safety. Depends on what side of the issue you're on. And there's the uncomfortable truth that makes the whole topic feel like you're walking across a floor of Legos. Two things can be true at the same time. These medications are genuinely life-saving and life-changing, and the money around them can wrap up in the ecosystem in ways that undermine access, trust, and long-term public health. And that is the real tension that we feel in the GLP-1 community today. I'm just checking the chat. Oh my God. Love you guys for long form. Okay. It's organized. I try to be a little organized this time. So the first thing we're going to talk about is lawsuits. And I apologize. This section is a little bit long because this is really where my heart is in the litigation and policy. Those are the first two chapters that we're going to talk about. So 2025 really was the lawsuit year. That was when like so many lawsuits were being dropped and it felt chaotic. Like they just were coming everywhere and we didn't know what they were about and we didn't know how much teeth they would have. And a year ago, people were talking about the lawsuit like it was one storm cloud. It wasn't one cloud. It was actually a whole weather system. There was a sea of different storms of brewing with these lawsuits. Multiple cases, multiple courts, multiple states, multiple legal theories, all trying to answer the same underlying question from different angles. Who controls access when a blockbuster molecule collides with compounding, telehealth, and a cash pay market? I'll say that question again. Who controls access when a blockbuster molecule collides with compounding, telehealth, and a cash pay market? And if 2025 felt like chaos, it's because the lawsuits weren't just happening in this space. They were actively shaping the story that people tell about it. The villainizing and all of that was wrapped up in these lawsuits. The safety narrative wrapped up in these lawsuits. The fear mongering wrapped up in the headlines around these as well. So here's where we get a little deep. So we're going to start with the most popular, I think, of all of them. It's the Eli Lilly versus Mochi in the Northern District of California. This case got a lot of publicity. Mochi Telehealth is telehealth, and Eli Lilly is a big pharma drug maker. This lawsuit was a spicy one. As somebody who's read a lot of lawsuits at this point, but is not a lawyer, it had a lot of drama in it. It had a lot of drama. So I can understand why it got the hype that it did, but it has become the symbolic center of this kind of movement in my view of it all. It's a procedural time capsule, right? It was filed, it had a motion to dismiss, dismissed without leave, then it was amended, and another motion to dismiss, and now next Thursday, March 5th, that's another hearing for a motion to dismiss. Like, is it going to be dismissed? We don't know. We want to hear. Judge Jacqueline Corley had so many great things to say on the last trial. I will personally be there next Thursday doing some coverage on it. So you'll see me again on a live probably next Thursday covering the Mochi trial. I'm very excited about it. So we want to know what happens from there, because it's a test of the telehealth ecosystem, right? How the courts are treating allegations about customer confusion, adverse events, and market division. That is going to affect the rest of the telehealth, right? So it is really got all eyes on it because it will become a reference. Whatever happens to it, whether it's positive or negative for compounders or Eli Lilly, that will become a reference point for the other many other lawsuits that are already out there. While everybody was staring at the big shiny Mochi with all the kind of like drama and tea that we love in our little reality TV shows, there was actually another case that was more impactful. And that was in February of this year. The Willow versus Eli Lilly case was dismissed with prejudice. Means it can't come again. It's done. And the judge's logic was very simple. Prescription drugs aren't bought directly by consumers. A physician must prescribe them. That's like part of this ecosystem. So marketing alone cannot cause damages. So that was kind of a big one. We can translate it down. One major enforcement lane, telehealth marketing, those lawsuits that were going the marketing path got narrowed down because one judge said, like, no, this isn't how it works. So they're all referencing this case, like moving forward, right? And then you get into Texas. There's two cases in Texas that we're watching right now. It's a Revive lawsuit, and this is like one of the OG ones. Revive has been going on for a long, long time, more than a year. But there was a new case brought into reference, the Zyla case that was dropped, and that brought Revive back to life. And it became a multi-state case. It got way bigger than it was originally. And that case is still ongoing. So I don't have any fun resolutions for you. And then we come to the case that is like my passion project case, I will say, and the one that I'm actually most interested in. It's the Eli Lilly and Empower compounding pharmacy case. Empower is one of the largest compounding facilities in the United States. They do a lot of advocacy work. I've been watching this since the very beginning. If you scroll back through my content, you're going to find some really, really deep dives because I was really, really into the Empower case. Still am. So it was late 2025. Lilly filed against Empower about how it was manufacturing at scale and not truly personalizing these meds that should be personalized and all of that. And it's still kind of tumultuous and changing. Motion to dismiss on the table, still moving forward, but it's kind of quieter. It's all quieter than it used to be. It was all scare tactics and everything in the beginning. And then there was one more Texas lawsuit that came in, and it really kind of sparked things. It quantified things. The Pharmaco lawsuit came in, and they had real numbers about how much they were producing, what was going on in the market, and it was like plausible damages. We could start to see the scope of like why people care about this so much. And then we had a big one, my new favorite one. The Strive filed an antitrust lawsuit. Antitrust is kind of saying that there's like a whole ring. It's kind of similar to racketeering, which is lots of racketeering cases coming up as well, saying that the system is being very manipulated and patients are suffering from it. And we love Strive. Strive does a lot of advocacy work as well. They're also a compounding pharmacy. I'm gonna leave you with one more lawsuit. I know I've been talking about lawsuits for too long, but you guys know which one I'm going to talk about next, I think. It's in all the headlines. It's Novo versus Hims and Hers. So Hims announced that they were going to offer a compounded version of the new semaglutide pill and a new price. And Novo said, we'll sue you. And they said, bet. And then they did. They did open up a lawsuit in Delaware for patent infringement. So slightly different than the other ones as well. So we'll see how that one stacks up. It's the new hot case. People are really watching, but these things take a lot of time. So yeah. And that's all to say these lawsuits don't just stay in the courts. Like they obviously are in the courts, but they get misconstrued and used as fear tactics. If you want to know what really happened, read the transcripts. I post every transcript and court document that I get open access on Substack. Read it from the source. Don't read it from a scare tactic or somebody who gets followers from it or money from content or ad viewing or whatever. Just keep that in mind when you're reading these scary, scary things. Okay. Sorry, that one was really long. That's the longest section, I promise. I just get really caught up in it. Sorry, guys. Okay. So this is, whoops. Did it go? No, it didn't go. Sorry, guys. There we go. Policy is the next one. And this one you've probably heard me talking about pretty recently because the state policies are crazy. They're crazy. They're really crazy right now. Okay. So the panic really moved from the courthouses to the like state capitals, basically. Instead of it being like one big legal battlefield, like the Empower or the Mochi, like these are like big players. It's more of a sweeping motion now. It's multi-state level legislation that's being introduced really, really rapidly. So as of right now, we have Florida, Colorado, Washington, Indiana, Virginia, Massachusetts, and Arizona, all with active bills that have been introduced in the last month, 2 months now. I guess it's the end of February. That timing is not neutral. In the trial that I was sitting in Indiana, they talked about like, why now? What has happened? What brought this up? And nobody had an answer. It wasn't there was an increase in adverse reporting specifically about this. It was nothing. Something had to come up. And as somebody who's read the testimonies, testified, all of it, it seems like they're all playing from the same playbook, which leads me to think what's been going on. So this all started happening when shortages were resolving, right? Manufacturers are consolidating their market share. Regulators are signaling for increased enforcement. And demand continues to outpace affordability for many, many patients. It's literally a perfect storm. So the Indiana Senate Bill 282, if you're in Indiana, write that down and call your congressman, Senate Bill, House member, whatever. This is about compounding and medical spa use. And it started out as like generic content. I lost you guys. Did you come back? You came back. Apologies. Okay. So to put it plainly, this was not just like one state having an idea. This was a coordinated attack because it's all happening at the same time. We will say, like, more positively, the Virginia bill just didn't pass. It has to go up one more time to get a vote, and then it'll be down and out, but the rest of them are still pretty active, and they are still kind of dangerous, honestly. It matters because of access. It isn't just the medication, it's the whole pipeline. Who's allowed to prescribe it? Number one. Where can patients receive that care? These bills affect what flies in, is shipped over borders, as well as what's produced within borders. Which facilities can administer these things? Compounding pharmacies, where they get the drugs from, or where they get the active ingredients from. That all matters. And what kind of paperwork and regulatory enforcement do they have going on? Keeping in mind, there is federal regulation on all of this already. So the states are either trying to make it more strict or just get like some reporting in there, a lot of them. And I'll go back to Indiana. There is a level of intrigue I have for the Indiana lawsuit for sure, because like Eli Lilly's corporate headquarters is a few miles from the state capital of Indiana. And a lot of those testimony were talking about the Indiana economy and the innovation economy and blah, blah, blah. And we have so many jobs and whatever. And why would we slow down Eli Lilly? Because like they make $1 bazillion that they bring back to Indiana. And you're like, it's questionable. Okay, so there's Florida bills. There's 2 bills in Florida. There's a Senate bill and a House bill. The Senate bill is like very specific. It is weight loss medications. It's compound medications. Like it's a very narrow docket. And Florida is a hotspot for compounding pharmacies. There's quite a few in Florida. So that would affect the way they produce and ship across the entire United States. So Florida's bills have the capacity to be very impactful for the entire United States, not just Florida residents. The Indiana bill, I would say that's more just Indiana, and some of the other ones are more isolated, but Florida is one of major concern, as well as the Colorado one. The Colorado one is relatively new. And funny enough, the hearing for the Colorado bill, the first testimony is next Thursday as well, the same day as the Mochi trial. If you live in Colorado, get on the website, the Colorado State website, email your congressman, email the committee seeing this, tell them your story, go to the capital of Colorado if you can. But the difference with the Colorado one, it puts on like actual restrictions and like, what is it? What do we say? Like penalties. Like it says $1,000 per dose produced. There will be penalties for finding these compounding pharmacies. So yeah, we'll be watching that one very close. A friend of mine will be going to have coverage on that. So we will be sharing information on next Thursday. So Washington, Virginia, Massachusetts, Arizona, those are all about compounding. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now we talk about the feds, the FDA. I think it's really important to ground this, that compounding isn't a new practice. Compounding has been happening in hospitals since hospitals started. Most pharmacies were compounding pharmacies mixing their own products. Compounding has been a necessity in palliative care, care for people with allergies, pediatrics, cancer care, and just immunology. Like, there are so many applications to compounding that have been going on forever. And a lot of these bills affect that stuff too, not just the GLP-1s, which is really scary. And we want to keep that in mind. So let's just like be very clear. The debate is not, is compounding legitimate? Yes. It's a proven industry that's been going on for hundreds of years. This is about the scale, the oversight, and where legal boundaries sit after shortages resolve, and like where compounding pharmacies regulate in this new $1 trillion market. So the FDA created a green list. It basically said, these are all the safe places you can get active ingredients, like pieces of the recipe to make compounded GLP-1s. And really, in my eyes, that green list was saying, like, we would like to support the production of this and aid in the safety and efficacy. I didn't see that so much as a limitation. I saw that more as guardrails. Like, we're all doing fact checking. These are good sources. Use these sources and all as well. Definitely, if you're on the other side of marketing, maybe it seemed like it was negative, but to me, that was a pretty positive step of the FDA supporting this industry. Then 2026 February, now-ish, the FDA got a little sharper with their tone. They published a warning saying that GLP-1 products, compounded GLP-1 products, were going to be enforced, and say that it intends to restrict the production, disbursement of these things, whatever. And then as of last week, multiple telehealths did receive warning letters from the FDA. They aren't published publicly yet, but I am watching the FDA website to see which ones were published. So again, story's not that compounding suddenly was controversial. Suddenly, it was not. It was not. These pharmacists are like long-standing, and all the pharmacists that I met in Indiana that own these pharmacies are like family-owned, generational, like multi-generations of people doing it. They're passionate. They're wonderful, like human-loving people. So there's a lot of gray area here, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure patient-specific compounding with clear standards and clear oversight has room to grow and be there and be present. Big pharma stays in its lane, but then we have a third lane of the gray market that isn't controlled at all. We want to try to limit that because it's really not safe for anybody. And I think that's important to know. There's 3 lanes. I'm improving a little bit, my friends. I hope you don't mind. Okay. Let's talk about money. This is everybody's favorite topic. So capitalism does not do humanitarianism by default. And now we reach a part that makes everyone uncomfortable because it's not about chemistry or biology or physiology. It's about incentives. GLP-1s are not a niche trend anymore. This is one of the most lucrative markets on the planet of Earth. And the competition between major manufacturers is openly described as a battle. It's also called a duopoly because there's 2 of them. We won't talk about that too much. Reuters reported that Zepbound prescriptions have overtaken Wegovy, with Lilly having about 60% of the obesity market with one product. And then also at the end of last year, Eli Lilly became the first medicine company to hit a $1 trillion market cap. That's insane. That's literally insane. That's not just success. That is an evaluation tier that changes incentives. When a medication can push a company into $1 trillion territory, market defense becomes a strategy and not just a side effect. This is where I bring in my cautionary ghost tale. This is one of the favorite stories I like to bring in for you guys. It's insulin. In 1923, the insulin patent was sold to the University of Toronto for $1 because the person who discovered it said it belongs to the world. He wanted this to be for the people, to save lives, because insulin is a medication that people need and will die without. Yet the modern US market of insulin became a symbol of how life-saving therapies can be priced into crisis. One analysis showed that the price of a 30-day insulin supply increased from $271 in 2012 to $499 in 2021. That is a 184% increase. The FTC has sued pharmacy benefit managers in 2024 for racketeering over insulin pricing. Don't get me started on that whole thing. It's wildly interesting. And showing that unfair rebate pricing and inflated list prices were shifting the cost of everything onto the patients who need it or they will die. Whether every allegation is ultimately proven in court isn't the point here. The point is the structure of healthcare markets. Pharmacy benefit managers, insurers, pharmacies, and manufacturers all create a system where each layer takes a cut. And the patients end up with fewer choices and higher prices. This isn't fringe talk. Even members of Congress, AOC, have highlighted this vertical integration that's created a funnel that patients can't get out of. From insurance to clinic to pharmacy, they are stuck. So when people come into the GLP-1 world and say it feels like the system is rigged, they're not just being dramatic. They're noticing the incentives and the funnel-shaped system, and they're actually living in like this whole controlled market, and it's really terrible. More on that. There's more lawsuits about that coming up. I'm not, unfortunately, talking about those today because I got a lot of stuff to talk about. And we're talking about the next one. I don't even know if you're still on my TikTok because I could have been shut down by now because I said a lot of words TikTok doesn't like by this time in the talk. So let's talk about censorship era. The moderation is tightening on the social medias. And I feel that as somebody who is primarily a TikTok influencer. The influencer megaphone got a lot smaller in the GLP-1 space. About a year ago, the GLP-1 space was everyone and their cousin were an influencer. And that is cooling off. And that's not because people stopped caring. It's because the environment is changing. There's more legal ramifications about affiliate marketing in this space. And the enforcement has increased. They're banning accounts, taking content down. Like it's openly happening all across platforms, not just my favorite TikTok. But things are being regulated. I lost a ton of content because my content is all educational content here. Yeah, but this doesn't mean that people can't talk about their experiences organically, but it does shape how brands are marketing, creators are monetizing, and how quickly platforms are reacting to anything that looks or smells like promotional content or medical claims. The FTC's endorsement and testimonial rules mean health-related influencer marketing is not a casual sandbox. It comes with a lot of disclosures, and you need to be truthful in your advertising. The risks with the benefits. It's important every single time. Even though the algorithm turns down the volume, it cannot mute reality. People talk, patients talk to each other, clinicians compare notes, pharmacies see patterns in real life. Care doesn't stop because a platform flags a video. The more the online world narrows, the more conversations will have to go back into the real world networks. The communities, the coffee shops, the dinner tables, the friends and family, all of that will happen there because this is such a powerful trend. So I encourage you to keep talking wherever you can about this because it's really important. Okay. We're like moving towards the end. Love y'all. I love y'all a lot. Okay. So the last thing is science. I I talk a lot about research because I am a former academic myself. I love research and I love communicating research into ways that people can understand it. GLP-1s are no longer just about weight, just about appetite suppression. The research is literally exploding. As somebody who reads like bundles of research every day, a year ago I would get maybe 10 a week roughly across my desk. I think I get about 10 an hour maybe at this point. They're just like everywhere about everything. It's exploding. 5 years ago, it was mostly about diabetes. Diabetes is in like the backseat of the research now. It's about the whole entire body. The heart, the kidney, the liver, inflammation, pain, cognitive health, vascular health, mental health. It's everywhere. We're seeing that cardiovascular trials are reducing major cardiac events. We're seeing liver disease. We're seeing pain signals being changed. The gut microbe are being changed. This is not cosmetic. This is metabolic signaling research at scale. And when the research volume spikes this fast, it changes more than just that research and the treatments that we do. It, ah, my gosh, I'm so sorry. They're starting to change the narrative. The narrative isn't just GLP-1s or for this or for that. They're system regulators. They regulate a full system. There's a lot of downstream effects through the entire body. Because if the science keeps expanding, the regulatory, the insurance, and the policy and the conversations will eventually have to expand with it. We'll have to view obesity as a chronic disease, PCOS as a chronic disease, all of these chronic things that can be treated systematically and reduce risk in patients. The research is really relentless. And honestly, I think the research might be one of the most important parts of this entire landscape. And I look forward to reading a billion things going forward. So what is the actual state of the GLP-1 union, the GLP-1 community? I tried to give you a thesis statement. Here we go. We're watching a once in a generation medical shift collide with the most predictable forces in the universe. Profit protection, policy backlash, and the chaos of regulating care in real time. The lawsuits are one front, the state bills are another. The FDA enforcement posture is like a third, but the research is exploding and it's the wild card that keeps breaking everyone's neat storyline. So that's why the future of this space won't be decided by one company or two companies or one bill or one viral clip. It will be decided by what wins culturally and structurally. Do we build a system that treats metabolic disease like a chronic condition with individualized care and pathways? Or do we let access collapse into a luxury good? Do we regulate for safety and access? Or do we create rules that sound protective but function as barriers? So, where do I see us going the year ahead? I'm excited. I'm always excited. I love seeing things go. March 5th, next week, next Thursday, it's a big day. The Mochi Mission to Dismiss trial will be in federal court in San Francisco. I will be there, live reporting as well. The state bills are happening so fast, I can't even give you a time frame with them. It just feels like every other day they're having a hearing. Hopefully none of them get through because one that gets through will serve as a template for other states. The regulators differentiating legitimate compounding under 503A and B from gray market. I think that will become more of a conversation, hopefully, instead of like villainizing the legitimate compounding pharmacies. I think we maybe look to the right a little bit into the gray market, and that's where I foresee the future going. And yeah, I think the research is going to keep driving us and changing us. And here's what you can do. Let's talk about what you can do. Read your primary sources when you can. The bill text, the research papers, the statements from the FDA directly. Headlines are fear-mongering and are meant to evoke emotion even when there's not emotion. So go to your sources, find sources. If you're a clinician or a pharmacist, push for context and standards because the easiest way to lose trust is to just act on nuance, like get the information from multiple sources or check out maybe your source might be biased. And if you're a fellow creator out there, keep creating. Find different platforms that have a space for you. I've landed on Substack. I love Substack. It lets me get a lot more content out. And it's free. I love it. So in closing, my lovelies, and then the questions will open up. This isn't theoretical to me. None of this is. I'm not standing outside of a movement analyzing it. I'm inside of it. I'm a patient in the GLP-1 community. I've been on compounded tirzepatide for 2.5 years now. And I have seen over the past year, isn't just lawsuits and legislation, $1 trillion valuations. I've seen people, I've talked to people who have lowered their A1C after years of fear. I've seen people move their bodies without pain for the first time in decades. I've seen people talk about food without shame. I've seen patients keep up with their kids again. I've seen parents keep up with their kids again. I've seen hope return to people who thought it was gone forever. This community is not fringe, it's massive, it's educated, it's organized, it's paying attention, and it is full of voices, powerful, informed, relentless voices. You can tighten regulations, you can draft lawsuits, you control advertising, and you can even moderate platforms. But you cannot erase the lived experience of these people. You can't silence real outcomes. You can't delete conversations happening at kitchen tables and in waiting rooms and in group texts between people who finally feel heard. This is bigger than weight loss. This is about agency. This is about dignity. It's about whether medicines that serve people or they serve markets. And the state of the GLP-1 community is not written by corporations. It's written by patients. And if there's one thing I know about this community is we are not passive. We're watching, we're informed, and we're not going back, not to silence, not to shame, not to systems that ignore us. The story is still being written, and we are indeed the editors of it. That's all I got for you guys. Let's have dialogue. So if you're on TikTok, I cannot see your comments, I don't believe. But if you're on YouTube, I can throw you up on the screen. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments from YouTube, tap them in that chat and then we can all see them. I've probably gotten kicked off TikTok by now. I'm checking. Oh, I didn't get kicked off TikTok, everybody. I'm still on TikTok. Oh my gosh. Let me find the comments there and I'll answer some of them. Maybe. Yeah, I don't see it. Politicians dedicated as much effort to making medications more affordable they do to opposing, they would be dealing with the lawsuit. Yeah, pretty much. Lawsuits are expensive and slow. So that does really make you think like how much they're making because they're like writing lawsuits like left and right. Like how much money is being spent is kind of insane. I can't stay centered on my TikTok window. Apologies. Well, it's recording. We'll post. I'll cut the recording quite a bit. Let's see. Did it actually go through? But yeah, give me a follow on Substack, YouTube, TikTok, all the places. I appreciate it. And I think I'm probably going to sign off for the night because there's only a couple of you that stayed through the whole thing. That's okay. I'm trying out the lives. Desperately trying out the lives, I'm not going to lie. Oh, that does look cooler when I do it like that. First time using Restream, so. Can I see that when I post that? I posted a chat. I'm just testing now. Sorry, guys. You get to see me testing my stream out, seeing how much I can see. Doesn't do anything. I'm on my other account. That's a horse account. Let's see if it comes up. It does not come up on the YouTube screen. That's annoying. It did have like a 30-second lag, basically, what I'm seeing. All right, lovelies. You're perfect, Nurse Tara. Love you forever. I'm going to sign off for the evening, I believe, since I don't see any comments coming in. And I really want to go to bed.